Okay, can you guys hear me now? Is it working now?
Scenes. 1.
What the hell just happened? My screen went black. What is going on? Okay. All right. Well, you can hear me. So cool. Yeah, no, my intro music, I couldn't hear it, and so you couldn't hear me, but I was like, can you guys hear me? And then you started fucking with me like you fuck with Danny. But we're good now. I am doing a double stream today, so there's going to be history after this. Uh, I'll repeat, I guess, what I already said in the first couple minutes. Let me get my screens back up here for what I want to share here in a minute. But I have boiled down the issue, the political issue, as well as the solution into one sentence. So I've been talking about this, the power dynamics and everything else for a while, but I think I've got it down to its essence, so it should be undeniably clear what the problem is and what the solution is. And here we go. It is safe to be a radical left wing or Muslim terrorist in America and Western countries. And it's not safe to be a random white person, much less a right wing white person, much less an openly right wing white person. And I've got some examples to show and some, just simple, straightforward logic here to apply to this. That always throws me off when there's tech issues and I, start a show and then have to restart it. But like this kid, he was stomped to death by left-wing terrorists. What does the news, what do the politicians do? They come out and they condemn white supremacy. This guy does $20,000 worth of damage and absolutely zero consequences. It is safe to be a left-wing terrorist. It is not safe to own a Tesla. This Asian nurse sees 10 black kids push a guy in front of an oncoming train trying to kill him. She describes the events that she witnessed. She's attacked online and in the news for being racist and bigoted simply for witnessing an event. She's Asian, but the point remains Asians and whites get lumped together a bit, right? It's safe to be 10 black teenagers who try and commit murder in broad daylight to a random person. It is not safe to witness the murder. This is the most egregious example. It is safe to be a tranny terrorist. This innocent young girl was one of the victims of the Canadian school shooting that happened recently. She died, and there were so many credible death threats towards the family who did nothing other than have their daughter killed by a tranny terrorist, that the state stepped in and shut down their funeral. They said, we cannot allow you to have a funeral for your daughter who was just brutally murdered by a mentally ill tranny terrorist because there's overwhelming credible death threats. Has anything happened to any of those people sending threats? Has the right done absolutely anything about this? Has the state done anything about this? No, as far as I know, there's not any serious investigation. There's certainly been no updates about an investigation. The right didn't band together to track down and expose these people. Absolutely nothing happened other than this family who had their daughter murdered is now living in fear and terror from these radical tranny terrorists. It is safe to be a radical tranny terrorist who murders children, and it is not safe to be the family of that murdered child because they're white. It's fucking insane. It is safe to be a group of, invader black people in London verbally attacking and physically attacking a white person simply for existing in London, it is not safe for a white person to exist in London. It is safe to be a retarded Black woman who is denying starving, homeless white people food. It is not safe to be a starving, homeless white person. It is safe to be a 67-year-old invader, Black invader, killing an 18-year-old kid just working his first job at a phone store for no reason. It is not safe to be an 18-year-old kid working at a phone store. And I'll get to that tab in a second. So again, I talk about power dynamics. I talked about how like someone asked me the solution to white women, and I'm like, they follow the power dynamics. As long as it is safe to be these radical terrorists, which it is when the bomb was thrown in front of Mamdani's building, when the Muslim terrorist threw the bomb at the white guy, CNN came out and framed it as if white supremacists were trying to bomb Mamdani. Mamdani himself gave a speech condemning white supremacy, not the Muslim terrorists throwing bombs, right? And you go back to like the people who set off bombs in neighborhoods in the 70s, they did go to jail. They also got out of jail and they became cabinet members and advisors to the Hillarys and the Clinton or the Clintons and the Obamas. And if we see the justice system continually taking it easy on these terrorists. There was a recent event where a group of Antifa they lured out a bunch of cops and then ambushed them with AR-15s. The left-wing news, these people were arrested for wearing black, So even when these people like do go to jail, they get light sentences. And then God forbid we have another Democrat president, they will get pardoned. Like they will get out and then they will get rewarded for their terrorism. That is what has been happening for a very long time. Again, you can be a white family who has your daughter murdered and you are the target of massive threat campaigns that nothing is done about those, but you don't get to have a funeral for your daughter murdered by the tranny terrorist. Are you starting to get it now, right? Like that has to change. It has to stop being safe to be a radical left-wing or Muslim terrorist. It has to stop being safe to even be left-wing at all. All these commies, all of these foreign invaders should not feel safe. In my school, there was one Indian kid in like the first grade who had a full mustache, right? Now there's Indians literally everywhere. Everywhere I go in the country, Indians everywhere. There was, I don't think I had a single Muslim kid in any of my schools. Now there's burqas fucking everywhere you go in the country, right? So as long as it is safe to be a Muslim terrorist, a left-wing terrorist, that will continue getting worse. And as long as it is not safe to be white and on the right, people will shy away from that. We do not defend each other. We do not stand up for each other. We can, you have half the politicians. There's now like some politicians finally, they're like, repeal the Hart-Celler Act. We need to get rid of all of the Muslims. That's great. And what do you see from the rest of the right wing? Condemning that. Oh, you racist, you bigot, this has to change. And I hear people talking about like, oh, well, the media is stacked against us, the court's stacked against us, social media is stacked against us, our politicians aren't working for us. And so we just throw up our hands and do nothing. That actually makes things a lot simpler, not easier, but simpler, right? Because the only thing that you can do is affect change in the real world, is start incorporating things into your own life, because you can't count on the media or social media or the courts. And the only way to change those things will continue being your enemy and continue being more dangerously and severely your enemy until you wake up to the reality that it needs to stop being safe to be a commie terrorist, and you need to start defending the people on the right. You need to start standing together, organizing, right? The left is fully organized. I've got a tab here somewhere. This bitch, she does this frequently. Like you can, oh, that's not the right tab. You can check out this chick's channel. And there's other people who do this as well, but like she just joins, these radical left-wing groups and records them and listens to what they say. They are organizing terrorism. And the right is not doing any. The right is segregating further, keeping their head down, staying silent. Oh, there are, you see these things like the 12-year-old girl having her funeral canceled because it's so fucking dangerous just to be white in this country. And instead of going, wow, that's a huge problem, we need to change that, we need to shift these power dynamics back, they go, oh, we need to keep our head down further. What support has that family gotten? What actions have been taken to track down those fucking vile, disgusting, evil tranny terrorists? None. This has to change. It absolutely has to change. So that is the problem and the solution. It's safe to be on the left. It is not safe to be on the right or white. And the only way to fix this is to start making it dangerous to be a commie terrorist. Start making it safe to be on the right. This is why I support, those campaigns, which are maybe a little bit silly, but the effects of them are not, where, the Shiloh Hendricks, right? Donate to her. Help her. I don't think it's happened yet, but like she's in court, they're trying to charge her criminally. We need to stand together. We need to start organizing. We need to identify our friends, identify our enemies, and again, like the left, it's not just about like murder and physical violence, although that's certainly a factor here, right? But the left will do anything and everything to harm their enemies. They will fire you, they'll not hire you, they'll send death threats, they'll just send, when something happens that the left doesn't like, they write letters, they make phone calls, they do things, they apply pressure. The right does not participate in this shit because they feel like it's not safe to. But the only way to make it safe is to start participating in this kind of shit. They cut off family members, right? Left-wing people love cutting off their family members for being right-wing. Right-wing people will try and still mend the gap and like find middle ground with their radical terrorist commie family members. These things need to change. Consolidate with your friends, distance yourself from your enemies, start being unfair to these people. They are unfair to you. Like you can't go in with purely good intentions and purely like, oh, I'm going to debate this person honestly and in good faith, and like this shit doesn't fucking work. Wake the fuck up to the reality that you're in and start changing it. Yes, and that's so that's kind of my point, right? The normal person, the average person, the regular person, they recognize that it's not safe to be on the right. It's not safe to be white. It is safe to be a terrorist. And so they just want to get home from work without being terrorized. And so whose side do they take? The terrorists. Now, obviously, in the long run, that doesn't work. But again, the majority of Americans are obese. They can't even manage their own life in the long run, much less the country and the good of all, right? And so they will gravitate towards the immediately safe side, the side that's not going to result in them getting punched in the face on their way home from work. and ignoring the long-term consequences, which is that our country will be conquered by fucking Muslims who will chop your goddamn head off in the streets. But yes, it is. So if you want to bring the regular people back to your side, and you want the people on the right who actually might take action and might be brave to do that, like, you need to start doing that. You need to start organizing. You need to start encouraging. This is why I'm like, dude, shake someone's hand. I have set the bar so unbelievably low for like actions that you can start incorporating into your life. Shake someone's hand who's wearing the American flag. Tell them thank you for your bravery. Go argue that Vanilla Ice is better than M&M just to get yourself comfortable with conflict. Like, I have set the bar so incredibly low, but how many of you have done any of these things? I don't know. Because again, I'm just talking to a screen. So until I see confirmation from you guys that you're doing this, like I got a little bit last week, which was a beautiful white pill for me. I really appreciated that. It might be something small, like refusing to do work for someone with a terrorist flag in their yard, but that is something. I loved hearing that. That's the kind of shit we need to start doing, and start doing way more and way more aggressively. But yeah, the majority of people are followers, and they just want to get home from work safely. They don't want to be harassed. And there's one side that is very, very willing to harass you, to the point that they will harass a 12-year-old's family that got murdered by tranny terrorists, to the point that they can no longer hold a funeral for their murdered daughter, their 12-year-old daughter, who did nothing but go to school that day, expecting it to be like any other day of school. You got to start harassing. Just reading through the chat real quick. I don't know if I saw that specifically, but fully, believable. And again, all of these, there have been multiple attacks on synagogues in the last like couple of weeks. Every single one's been at night when they're empty. Just noticing some patterns here. So look, here's the thing. They're going to do false flags. They're going to do this shit. You're going to be labeled. Again, look at the Asian lady who simply witnessed a crime, and she's getting punished for it, whereas the fucking teenagers, are getting defended. The labels of terrorist and Nazi, etc., they're going to be applied to you regardless of what you do. Innocent 12-year-old girl murdered, funeral shut down, right? So like, they did literally nothing except exist. And those are the consequences, the extremely severe consequences that family is facing simply for existing and being white in America. So you have to understand, these consequences, they're coming regardless of your actions. And they're actually coming a lot more swiftly and a lot more severely if you don't take action. So it's very simple. Stop allowing it to be safe to be a left-wing terrorist. Stop allowing them to make the right feel so safe. Start defending each other. Truly stand together, support each other. It's very simple. It's very simple. Yes, 100%. I don't talk about it on here a ton, but I have been anti-police since I was in high school, and like extremely anti-police. They are not your friends. They're not there to help you. They are there to, in fact, let me pull up a couple other tabs here. I've got real quickly before I go out. I'm looking for the Sikh guy in England. I've got too many tabs open. But the Sikh guy. So there's this Sikh restaurant owner in England who isn't serving halal food. And so 100, plus Muslims show up to attack him and harass him. So he puts up a sign saying not serving halal food here. The UK police arrested him. He was arrested for refusing to serve halal food. The angry mob, no consequences. The police are not there to defend you and your rights. They are there to oppress you 100%. And yes, it is called anarcho tyranny. Yes, but the thing that you Slav, you specifically, and you're not alone in this. This is overwhelmingly what I encounter when I have these conversations with people. But you go, oh yeah, we're in anarcho tyranny, so there's nothing I can do, and I just have to wait for the total collapse until they're literally going door to door, rounding us up and killing us. And that's not the right response, my dude. That's not the right response. The right response is to change it, is to start being more aggressive, start being more active, stop being passive, start defending the people that are getting attacked through this. There is, like, we talked about how Israel only has soft power over the US. It's not like they can actually annex the US or anything like that. They don't have the hard power to do that, but they can control us through soft power. The thing with soft power is soft power only works if you let it. Hard power is, I have a gun to your head, you're going to do what I say, or I'm going to pull the trigger. Soft power is, we're going to spread these lies, and as long as we can get enough people to go along with the lies work. So you have to enact in reality, in the real world, these, aggressions and these viewpoints, and you have to make it to the point where it is the cognitive dissonance between what people see in the real world and what people are seeing on the news is too much, and that soft power breaks, right? So it's whether we're talking about Israel or left-wing terrorists or Muslims or whatever, it's the same fundamental problem and same fundamental solution for all of it. There were a few other things that I wanted to quickly show, but I'm not sure. Like I said, I've got too many tabs open. Here's one that I wanted to show. So hold on. This is understanding a bit of the left-wing mentality is also useful here, right? So this lefty says, so being far right means having views of the 99% of humanity during which life was miserable, and liberalism is the values of the 0.1% of the time things have gone well. This is how the liberal mindset works, is like they really believe that everything in the past was so horrendously evil and awful for everyone, and that now is the greatest time ever. So it doesn't matter what occurs now, no matter how much Muslim terrorism or, tranny terrorism or anything else, this is the golden age. This is the good times. Those are all part of the good times, right? And anything that's not that is bad and evil. It's a very twisted, hard, like I can understand it. It's hard to explain it. Hopefully you're able to extrapolate from this yourself. Hopefully you're able to understand it, because it's truly an insane way of thinking about the world. And same thing here. I'm going to post this link in the chat so you guys can read this if you want. I'm not going to read this whole thing. It truly is a wild ride. Replace the cat with Muslims or trannies, right? And you start to get an idea of how these people's brains work. Basically, this lady adopted a terrorist cat. She already had another cat, and she's had it now for like 8 years or something. And she's talking about how like her whole life has devolved. Like she had to get rid of her original cat who she loved so she could care for this cat who just nonstop attacks her. She, it's affecting her work. It's affecting everything. never once does it occur to her to get rid of the fucking cat. That's the problem. She got rid of the good cat to protect the bad cat, right? Like, so this is how, again, replace the cat with like Muslim or tranny terrorists. This is how they operate. Their mindset is truly twisted. Everything that's up is down. Everything that's good is evil, etc. You know, I've talked about all of this at length, but I'm hoping I've put this in simple enough black and white terms that are also like completely undeniable. I have many more examples to reinforce what I'm saying here, but I'm hoping it's enough to get the point across. So short episode for this one, because I am doing a second stream immediately after this, starting in about 5 minutes, talking about Djoser and how he erased pre-dynastic history and is responsible for the view of Egypt that we hold today, the modern view, you know, the God King, great pyramid builders. That was all established by Djoser, and he did so by erasing the grandeur of the past and taking credit for it. So that's coming up in a few minutes. Before I log off, just a little personal anecdote. My dog almost died this week. He's doing great now, but I took him to the vet, and the vet was like, yeah, dude, your dog's going to die. You can, you know, take him home to die right now, or we can put him in like intensive care and he might recover a little bit and you can take him home in a few days and then he'll die then. And I was like, no, I'm pretty sure he just needs some fluids. Like, can I get an IV for him? And they refused to give him an IV unless I like left him overnight, which is retarded. And so I was like, all right, give him the camel hump, give him like the subdermal fluid injection, you know. And they finally did that after like an hour and a half. By the time they did, like, my dog truly was on the brink of death. It was a long, rough night with him. But he did recover. He's doing great now. The vet was kind of a piece of shit, but yeah, I'm really grateful that my buddy back there is still alive. I don't know, just a big thing that happened this week. But anyways, thank you for watching, fellas. I'll see you in a few minutes on the other stream.